Hello, shrimps. How are you all? So, in today's session, we are going to do passage 5 and 6 from CLAT 2022 paper. So, let me just share the screen and just pull up the volume. Okay, let me start. Okay, let's start. Okay, so what we have in the first part is logical reasoning, CLAT 2022 previous year question, passage 5 and 6. Okay, so let's start first reading of the passage. Okay. So, a Madras High Court judge suggestion to amend the Constitution of India. Just give me a second. A Madras High Court judge suggestion to amend the Constitution of India, mandating that every citizen also has a duty to laugh, comes as a whiff of air, fresh air, something the country has been gasping for of late. Okay, what is the whiff of air over here means is whiff means lasting for a short period of time. Okay, okay, so this comes as a freshening thing, but it comes for a very short period of time. Justice G.R. Swaminathan of the Madurai bench has a remarkably refined sense of humor, but in questioning an FIR against a man arrested for innocuous social media post, his insightful observation only highlights the idiocy and absurdity that surround the growth and the normalization of the offense taking trial. यानी कि एक जो आदमी है जिन्होंने कोई पोस्ट डाला और जो ऑफेंस उसमें लिया गया was considered to be very idiotic and absurd. Okay, written from the perspective of the cartoonist and satirist, the judgment draws attention to how what ought to be a reasonable understanding of a situation is increasingly being influenced by impulses that border on the irrational and the amount to an abuse of the legal process. यानी कि इतना लोग offend हो गए कि they went ahead and they started doing legal process to it. The petitioner tried tongue-in-cheek wordplay while captioning photographs after sightseeing trip with family. Trip to Sirumalai for shooting practices. अभी वो जो पेटिशनर था मतलब वो साइट सीइंग पे गया एंड जो उनका टैगलाइन था वो था ट्रिप टू सिरमलाई फॉर शूटिंग प्रैक्टिसेस। यहाँ पे शूटिंग का मतलब था कि फोटो शूटिंग, बट उसको इंटरप्रेट क्या किया गया शूटिंग द एक्चुअल शूटिंग जो गन से होता है, तो उसके ऑफेंस ले लिया एंड व्हाट जस्टिस जी आर स्वामीनाथन सेड कि देयर इज नो ह्यूमर है ही नहीं लोगों में, इसलिए इतनी सी बात पे ऑफेंस हो जा रहे हैं। तो सीइंग दैट it was considered to be a whiff of air that judges having that particular kind of sense of humor. For the police it appeared as a threat to wage war, though the judicial magistrate refused the remand. Laugh at what is a serious question, the judge said, using the holy cow as a metaphor which varies from person to person and region to region. यानी कि जैसे holy cow है तो you know not for everyone the cow might be holy. Okay, it vary from person to person and region to region. तो वो metaphor देख के जज ने समझाया regarding the humor. Being funny is one thing, the judge rightly states, and poking fun at another is different altogether. Those who have been at the receiving end for their attempt at humor can draw strength from the ruling, but then a creative process facing combative opposition because of its very nature is anything but funny. Okay, लाइक यहाँ पे एंड में क्या बोलना चाह रहा है, जो क्रिएटिव प्रोसेस होता है ह्यूमर का मतलब वो हो सकता है कि सटल वे में ऑफेंसिव हो, बट यू नो उसके लिए यू हैव टू फेस द ऑपोजिशन इज नॉट फनी. ओके, दैट इज व्हाट the last part of the passage is trying to say to us. Okay, now let's go question by question and let's try to answer the question through the passage, and let's use elimination technique, which will help us out in figuring out the passage ka answers. Okay, what is the central idea in the passage as conveyed by the author? people need to be sensitive towards others' sensibility. No, this is not the central idea. Humor is often used as a garb to offend others. No, because judge is actually in favor of humor. Correct. There is unwelcome decrease in people's sense of humor. इसलिए तो वो हो गया ना, FIR हो गया वो मैन के लिए. ओके, बिकॉज उसके ह्यूमर को अच्छे से वेलकम नहीं किया गया. सो दिस कैन बी द सेंट्रल आइडिया, बट लेट्स सी इफ वी हैव अ बेटर आंसर. Judiciary should use humor to make judgments understandable to lay person. Absolutely absurd. ये तो होगा ही नहीं. सो हमारा सीधा सीधा आंसर यहाँ पे क्या निकल के आएगा फ्रेंड्स? It would be option C. Okay, now let's move on to the next question. According to the given passage, which of the following statement is true? Social media often popularized insensitive and often offensive post. Okay. सोशल मीडिया का इसमें द सेंट्रल थीम नहीं है कि सोशल मीडिया कुछ पर्टिकुलर रोल प्ले करता है. सो इट शुड बी अ राइट ऑफ एवरी पर्सन टू पोक फन एट अदर्स. ओके, विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट इज ट्रू बोला है. ओके, तो यहाँ पे एक्चुअली देयर इज वन करेक्शन. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट ट्रू is the correction. So social media often popularized insensitive and often offensive posts. Okay, this can be considered correct thing. It should be a right of every person to poke fun at others. ऐसा तो कुछ बोला नहीं गया है कि ये पैसेज में आप इंटरप्रेट नहीं कर सकते हो, बट ये वाला आप इंटरप्रेट कर सकते हो. सी, creative expressions are bound to be offensive to some person. This is also correct. This is also correct. Every humorous expression should be understood reasonably and rationally. This is also correct. So, which of the following statement is not true? Not true is it should be a right of every person to poke fun at others. ये कहीं भी यहाँ पे बोला नहीं गया है. इनफैक्ट इसका ऑपोजिट यहाँ पे बोला गया है. Being funny is one thing, the judge rightly states, and poking fun at another is different altogether. तो यहाँ पे जो बी है वो कहीं ना कहीं ये स्टेटमेंट को कॉन्ट्राडिक्ट कर रहा है, इसलिए सीधा सीधा आंसर क्या हो जाएगा? ऑप्शन बी. ओके, नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन विद द थर्ड क्वेश्चन. थर्ड क्वेश्चन, according to the given passage, which of the following statement is not true? Each expression should be understood according to its context. The word shooting used in a sentence is indicative of waging war. Legal process can be abused if the authorities act on their irrational impulses. The expression holy cow bears different meaning for different people. Okay, so यहाँ पे हम लोग को स्टेटमेंट जो ट्रू नहीं है वो निकालना है. So let's go one by one. Each expression should be understood according to its context. This is correct. The word shooting used in a sentence is indicative of waging war. No, it is indicating of shooting pictures. Legal process can be abused if the authorities act on their irrational impulses. Okay, this is also correct. It can be abused. यहाँ पे वही हुआ है कि irrational impulse पे legal process का abusement हुआ है. The expression holy cow bears different meaning for different people. Yes, this is also correct. So, which of the statement is not true? It is option B. Okay, let's move on with the question number 4. As per the passage, which of the following approaches can reduce the increasing idiocy and absurdity in responding to expression made in jest? Okay, let's move on with this part. Let's see what we have. Apologizing upon hurting another person's sentiment. Okay, यहाँ पे हम लोग को exactly क्या interpret करना है? As per the passage, which of the following approaches can reduce the increasing idiocy and absurdity in responding to expression made in jest? ओके, तो कौन सा चीज ये पर्टिकुलर जो ऑफेंस होने का idiocy and absurdity है उसको कम करेगा? Okay, so apologizing upon hurting another person's sentiments, okay, can be a good potential answer. Avoiding the use of controversial words and expression, okay, again a potential answer. Using humor as a means to mitigate conflict, no, doesn't make sense. Understanding the difference between being funny and poking fun at others. Now, this is what is something which is carrying the crux of the passage. Okay, see, you can become funny and and not poke fun at other people. Okay, now that can reduce the idiocy and absurdity. So once you start poking purposely fun on other people, that's when the problem starts. Okay, so यहाँ पे आंसर क्या होगा? ऑप्शन डी. Okay, let's move forward with the next question. Those who have been at the receiving end of for their attempt at humor can draw strength from the ruling, but then a creative process facing combative opposition because of its very nature is anything but funny. यहाँ पे देखो, यहाँ पे ये वाला पार्ट है. Those who have been at the receiving end for their attempt at humor can draw strength from the ruling, but then a creative process facing combative opposition because of its very nature is anything but funny. Okay, which of the conclusion can be drawn from the above statement? Okay, let's see. Creative and conflict go hand in hand. Oh, okay, can be a good potential answer. Will not discard it. Creative freedom should not be curbed unreasonably. Now, this is what we can conclude because यहाँ पे यही बोला है कि अगर आप उसको क्रिएटिव प्रोसेस को अपोज करोगे देन इट इज नथिंग बट इट इज फनी बिकॉज उसका प्रोसेस ही थोड़ा ऑफेंसिव टाइप का रहता है. ओके, सो क्रिएटिव फ्रीडम शुड नॉट बी कर्व्ड अनरीजनेबली. यानी कि ये कहना चाह रहे कि अगर हम अनरीजनेबली ऑफेंस लेने लगे तो कहीं ना कहीं दिक्कत आ सकती है. तो दिस आंसर इज स्लाइटली बेटर देन द फर्स्ट ऑप्शन. ओके, लेट्स सी द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. Creative expressions are strengthened due to the challenges faced by their authors. No, doesn't make sense. Creativity often leads to conflict. Again, doesn't make sense. The answer would be option B. Okay, let's start with the next part. Okay, so now we have passage number 6. Two recent developments. I just changed the pen. Two recent developments have brought India's reliance on fossil fuel into sharp focus: the Russia Ukraine conflict and the consequent surge in the crude oil prices roiled the economy. What is the meaning of roiled the economy? It made the economy very turbulent, very मतलब पूरा इकोनॉमी को डिस्टर्ब कर दिया. कौन सी चीज ने? टू रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट. एक तो हो गया रशिया यूक्रेन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एंड द कंसिक्वेंट सर्ज इन द क्रूड ऑयल प्राइसेस. ओके, ये दो चीज ने. ओके, separately, the most recent IPCC report on climate highlighted the energy sector's large contribution to global warming. Both this development need to be located in the context of India's pledge to get to net zero carbon emission by 2017. Meeting this pledge requires an overhaul of both logistics and electricity sectors to produce reliance on the fossil fuels. तो अगेन अगर हम लोग इसमें देखें द सेकेंड पार्ट में, separately the most recent IPCC report on climate highlighted the energy sector's large contribution to global warming. Both these developments need to be located in the context of India's pledge to get to net zero carbon emission by 2017. Meeting this pledge requires an overhaul of both the logistics and electricity sectors to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Okay. Transitioning to renewables in energy is an important part of the solution. Okay. So क्योंकि हमारा डिपेंडेंसी बढ़ जाता है because of the above three factors given to us, what is the next part explaining to us that transitioning to renewables in energy is an important part of the solution. Okay. Within renewables, solar energy has been lavished with policy support. However, it won't be enough to meet the targets. Anil Kakodkar, former chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission, had written that India can't meet its net zero commitment without nuclear power. He is right. It's an area where India was off to an early start, developed relatively high indigenous capabilities in relation to other sectors, but subsequently let the ball drop. Today, nuclear power contributes a mere 3% of the total electricity generated and has a capacity of 6780 megawatts. After the early euphoria of the India United States civil nuclear deal, progress has been disappointing. The deal did open the pathway to a stable supply of uranium ore from Kazakhstan and Canada. However, the design of the subsequent bill on civil liability for nuclear damage killed the prospect of participation of the Western firms. India's main partner today is Russia, which sidestepped the bill through intergovernment agreements. Okay. Now, even this Russia के साथ भी जो हुआ वो भी साइड स्टेप हो गया कहीं ना कहीं. That is what they are concluding in the passage. Okay, now let's go on with the question to question. What is the central idea in the passage as conveyed by the author? India needs to use increase use of nuclear power. Yes, this can be the answer. क्योंकि अगर हम लोग देखें स्टार्ट में उन्होंने बात किया है कि हमारा फॉसिल फ्यूल्स पे डिपेंडेंसी बढ़ गया है बिकॉज ऑफ द थ्री रीजन स्टेटेड एंड देन दे हैव पूरा पैराग्राफ में न्यूक्लियर पावर का ही बात किया कि हाउ इंक्रीजिंग द न्यूक्लियर पावर विल हेल्प अस इन decreasing our dependence on the fossil fuels. India needs to increase the production of fossil fuels. No, this is not the central idea. India needs to enter into multilateral agreements addressing use of nuclear power. It can be potential answer, but it doesn't, catch the crux of the passage. Nuclear energy is renewable source of, and that is the universal truth. You don't have to say that it is a universal idea or a central idea. Okay, so answer would be A. India needs to increase use of nuclear power. Okay. According to author, which of the following measure will not help India achieve its pledge of net zero carbon emission by 2070? मतलब अगर नेट जीरो आना चाहिए तो क्या हेल्प नहीं करेगा? लॉजिस्टिकल चेंजेस. Logistical changes in what aspect? We don't know. So it's a half answer. Changes in electricity sector, changes in what way? Positive way, negative way, what way? रिडक्शन इन यूज ऑफ सोलर पावर. तो रिडक्शन अगर सोलर पावर को ही रिड्यूस कर देंगे तो नेट जीरो कार्बन तो बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा. करेक्ट. सो दिस हैज टू बी द आंसर. सी. इंक्रीज इन यूज ऑफ न्यूक्लियर पावर, दिस विल एज अगेंस्ट हेल्प टू अचीव नेट जीरो कार्बन एमिशन. तो कौन सा चीज अगेंस्ट जाएगा नेट जीरो कार्बन एमिशन में? रिडक्शन इन सोलर पावर, रिडक्शन इन यूज ऑफ सोलर पावर. सो दिस इज क्वाइट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड. ओके. According to the author, which of the following is not the effect of the India's reliance on fossil fuels? A. Global warming, increase in crude oil prices. Global warming, see it can be the effect of reliance on fossil fuels, increase in crude oil prices. अगेन हम लोग फॉसिल फ्यूल्स पे रिलाई हो जाएंगे क्योंकि यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है कि क्रूड ऑयल प्राइसेस सर्ज हुई थी. रिलेशनशिप विद मिडिल ईस्ट डजंट मेक सेंस. Less reliance on renewable source of energy. It is the effect of the India's reliance on fossil fuels. Because अगर हमारा renewable source of energy कम है तो by default हमारा जो dependency या reliance on fossil fuels है वो बढ़ेगा. करेक्ट. बट रिलेशनशिप विद मिडिल ईस्ट का ऐसा कुछ दिया नहीं है स्पेसिफिक. So answer would be C. Okay, let's move on with the next part. According to the author, which of the following is the effect of the India-United States civil nuclear deal? Export-import target with United States, removal of bottlenecks for self-reliance in power generation, nuclear defense pact with Kazakhstan, and self-reliance in solar power. So यहाँ पे हम लोग देखें अगर किसकी बात की? इंडिया यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स सिविल न्यूक्लियर डील. ओके. So after the early euphoria of the India-United States civil nuclear deal, progress has been disappointing. The deal did open the pathway to a stable supply of uranium ore from Kazakhstan and Canada. Okay, तो इसका जो इफेक्ट था इसके बाद हम लोग को क्या देखने मिला? न्यूक्लियर डिफेंस पैक्ट विद कजाकिस्तान. सो आई विल कंसिडर दिस एज द better answer. Okay, next. According to the author, Western firms lost the opportunity of doing business in the nuclear production in India because they had to pay hefty penalties of the delay in supply. No, they do not find nuclear power profitable. Again, no. They do not agree with India's place in nuclear power. No. They fail to circumvent the internal laws by other bilateral instruments. बिकॉज देखो उनको जो था, उनको जो पॉलिसीज थी, रूल्स रेगुलेशंस थे, उनमें ज़्यादा दिक्कत आ रही थी. तो अगर वो लोग उसको ट्वीक कर पाते अच्छे से, then definitely I'll go with the answer D. Okay, so answer for this question would be D. Okay, so this is it with the passage 5 and 6 of CLAT 2022. Okay, I wish you all the best. Do well. Okay, okay, all the best. I'll end the stream. Okay, Divesh, you have one question. Sir, I got 93.751 percentile in MHCET Fire LLB exam, and I'm MH Maharashtra and OBC student. Can I get into GLC Mumbai at this code? Okay, just give us 5 minutes. We'll reply back to you. Okay, I wish you all the best. Good luck. Take care.